What's up, everybody? It's CMP with Craftmaster Productions and Studio One Tutorials.com. Don't forget to stop by Studio One Tutorials and pick up your premium membership. It is 50 cents a day. Don't forget to stop by Studio One Tutorials and pick up Arrangement Arsenal Scorpion Edition. We did all of the arrangements except for God's Plan, because that's on Arrangement Arsenal too. We did all the arrangements from side A of the Drake Scorpion album. It's a really cool product because it focuses a lot on drum arrangement and how much that can do to influence the overall arrangement of your beats. So today we're going to be looking at melody creation and a couple tips and hacks to kind of put you in the mind state of how to do it. You know, when a lot of people talk about melody, they always make it super vague and very whimsical, spiritual almost, and just like anything else in music, it can all be broken down into math. And when you have tools like a piano roll, it can be a chart. So the way that I approach melody as a non instrument playing musician, right, is I do and musicians do this too. They just do it as they're playing an actual instrument. So they're kind of stuck up about this, but it's really all the same thing. Musicians will take from their favorite artists and copy certain motifs. Like a motif is like the opening notes of a melody, right? So and then what, how you end it will be what makes it your own, right? And the way that I kind of build a like a directory of motifs in my head is rather than focusing on the actual tones, the actual notes of the melody, I focus on the rhythm, right? So I work in double time, like a lot of people who do trap and hip hop nowadays do. So I split my my melodies up like this. Is I will split it up into four different bars, right? So I think of my first bar as the motif. The second bar is is the where we close out the melody, and then we repeat it, and then maybe on the last one we'll make a change. So for example, for this first bar, we'll focus in on this. You see the timeline. What I do is I usually start in eighth notes, because for double time that's going to work really well. And let's listen to someone else's melody real quick. So and I'll kind of show you the counting method. So here's like Frozen Hilltop from Illmind, right? Let's pay attention. All right, so you have that high string sound, right? That whatever instrument it is. What I'll do is I'll count the beat, and I'll count the notes in the melody. So this melody is going 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and you hear how they got that little pickup note at the end. So if I wanted to create a melody like that, I would take and do those first four notes, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here's that pickup note at the end, right? And then once you have that, you can just kind of work within whatever scale you're using to to find your tones. All right, so then you could take that, repeat it, let me turn this up. I see y'all can hear it. All right, so you want to have it in two halves, and to make a better, more expressive melody, you're gonna want to make sure that bar one is a little different from bar two. So the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna omit that pickup note, right? And then when you're working with pianos and stuff, you can, you could take other steps like make your notes longer, use legato. And then from here, and this is why I like to start with the piano, you could take, don't think of like melodies and chords as two separate things, right? So I could take this and find its fifth note and start, start stacking and use a different time or not a different time signature, but different note length to create a counter melody off it. So we're using quarter notes here. So I'll drag these out and use half notes. All right. So I've got the fifth of this chord. And if you guys don't know what the fifth is, just go to studio1tutorials.com. Music theory will break all that down for you. And then this guy right here will create the chord every other note in the scale. So that's the third. That's the fifth. And let's just see how this sounds. So you can use that as, you could use that as your high notes. You could use them as your bass notes. So that's real easy. I call that like, like the 1, 2, 3, 4 method. That's like the most simple, easy, melody in hip hop and trap music. It's why it works really well, and it's why you hear it everywhere. It's because it's super easy to create and it's super easy to customize. Now, if you want to get into something a little bit more complex, the first thing you need to do is you need to start out by listening to things that are more complex. You can't make complex melodies if all the music that you listen to is just simple 1, 2, 3, 4, internet type of beats. So you go into something, different sample packs or different genres or something. For example, let's just listen to this one. All right, so this one I'm actually gonna drag into the DAW, and for this one, you notice there's two different string instruments. There's a high one playing and there's one playing a low octave. The first thing you got to do is you got to be able to separate those. You only when you're doing when you're trying to analyze a melody, you want to make sure that you're only catching the notes that the one instrument is playing. And let me just, what is this, 12 bars? All right, bet. All right, so we're doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, pause, 3, 4, listen. All right, and that's how Illmind kind of structures all of these, all of these packs, and it's why they work so good for sampling. Because he's a producer first, and he's kind of like re-engineering, so he knows that the shit is gonna be like wanted to be sampled by trap producers, and they like that 1, 2, 3, 4 melody. So he's kind of flipping it and hiding it in different places, so you can go and rediscover it and chop it and put it into your own productions. So again, you've got this 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And that's one side. But then he speeds up. He does 1, 2 right here. It gives you a pause, and then 3, 4. So this is like the same, the same type of thing. It's still got the same amount of notes, but it's just gonna be played different with the timing. Which again, this is why I think it's so important to focus on the timing first, and then put yourself into finding the notes. And when you use something like Studio One, it's super easy because you have the scales here in front of you. All right. I'm gonna go up an octave or two. And we could use the same method. This is the six, right? So I know the D is its fifth, and you could start adding your bass notes. Or you could do like he did and do like unorthodox bass notes instead of dropping on the one, you drop it on the five. Or I'm sorry, you drop it on the two. What is that? That's a five. So yeah, yeah, seven works. So what I would really like you guys to take away from this is one, just this 2 bar double time method where you work on creating one motif, with a certain collection number of notes. Work out the rhythm first, and then you could use the same amount of notes in on the second half. And this isn't a rule. Like you can do, instead of it being 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, you can do 1 2 3 4 1 2 3, right? All right, and that change the bass notes a little bit to make it work, but all right. But yeah, definitely, instead of thinking that you have to like create the whole melody, which especially if you're just starting out, it could give you anxiety. Create it piece by piece. Loop this one section and work on this until it's fire and it gives you goosebumps, and then loop this section and then work on it until it's fire and you get the right sound. And then if you want to take it even further and make it more complex, go into bar 3 and bar 4. But always remember that this motif, the beginning, the opening collection of notes, that is what's going to be the hook for the melody. So every time you start a new bar, you're going to want to make sure that you start with this similar motif. And the similarity does not have to, you either pick. It's either going to be the notes, the tones that you use, or it's going to be the rhythm in which you use them. Either one of those two is going to give you that same repetitive feel that a melody needs to be catchy. So much is made of, and if you're not familiar with this, you're just starting out in production, you hear a lot of criticism, people saying that music is repetitive, but melody is supposed to be repetitive. So don't go out and try to create these melodies that never repeat, thinking that you're making high art, because that's not how it goes. So yeah, split the melody, work up, take it bar by bar, note by note if you have to, focus on it, work on it, because it's really the most important part of the beat. And spend time referencing other songs that you like. Find and try to do it from different genres other than hip hop and trap, and you're gonna wind up having better, more complex melodies like easy early, because the way that we create trap is we boil down complex things and then make it super simple for the songs. But the source material can have a tendency, especially nowadays with all the samples that everybody's using. The source material can tend to be very musically rich and complex. So yeah, man. So this is CMP with Craftmaster Productions, Studio One Tutorials.com. Keep it simple, but don't be basic. And we will see you on the next one.